Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Bwaaa!
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, welcome to
Bwaaa.
a King of the Hill Rewatch podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Rusty, still Rusty.
Rusty, we are season 2, episode 19. We're getting deep in season 2.
This is actually the 31st episode of King of the Hill.
Leanne's Saga, not Luanne's Saga,
Saga.
but Leanne's Saga. I think I said Luanne's last time.
Luanne's. Well, there is a Luanne Saga. Everybody gets an episode with the name Saga on it, I believe.
There's a saga for everybody.
There is. And actually, I want to point this out on this episode. So this episode, I just want to go ahead and let everybody know it is a trigger for family violence. There's a lot of family violence references, a lot of alcoholism references and stuff like that. So if that bothers you, bugs you, or offends you in any way, kiss my ass.
Hey. He meant turn it off.
Turn it off. Yeah, that's what I meant. So the cool thing that I wanted to add into the episode about the domestic violence thing. So there was a bit of censorship.
Cool thing about domestic violence is what the man just said.
The cool trivia, bit. So in England, the British satellite channel Sky One banned this episode actually in 2003.
Really?
Due to the scenes of domestic violence where she starts drinking and beating on Bill. Which we'll get into. We'll get into that.
Sure.
And all the scenes of the emotional abuse.
There is a lot in this episode, and it's not just the emotional abuse stuff, but this is a deep episode.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that happens.
It's really deep for sure. It's really, really deep. Which I thought it was. Neat that somewhere in the world in syndication somebody thought that this show was offensive enough to take off of television.
Yeah, it's not.
But it did appear. So it did appear in the UK DVD disc set.
Really,
but not on the one channel. Just the one.
Not on Sky One.
The one channel. Yeah. Now it was carried on the other British cable channels: Fox UK, 4 Music, Viva, and then the terrestrial channel.
Terrestrial channel.
That's what they call like the 3 channels you used to get on TV. Those are called terrestrial channels because
it was ABC, NBC, CBS.
That's what you would consider your terrestrial channel. So in England or UK, it would be BBC is the terrestrial channels. And by terrestrial, it's because all the signals are done on Earth. They're not like space signals.
What's the difference between BBC 1, BBC 2, BBC 3?
The same difference in ABC Family, ABC Eastern, ABC Western.
Okay.
ABC, it's
so they just cover different stuff.
It's the programming is different to each channel. I don't know what specifics are.
Yeah.
But it's like one channel might be like all news all day,
right?
And one focuses
one's
on
drama,
the arts,
one's
and then one does like all the sitcoms and drama or whatever. That's just a guess though, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, as far as this episode goes, Leanne's Saga, Season 2, Episode 19.
Season 2, Episode 19.
We open with just the plain old credits, no bell, no yell yet. I don't think we've had a bell or a yell yet.
In a long time.
Yeah, we hadn't had one.
In a very long time, actually.
So we start outside of the Arlen Beauty Academy. It is very busy there because it is Mother-Daughter Night.
It is, yes.
There's a big old banner hanging up that says Mother-Daughter Night. And we find Luanne and Peggy out in the car.
Yeah.
Sitting there kind of watching the people go in and out. And Luanne just kind of, she's feeling bad because she doesn't have a mom.
Yeah, she doesn't have somebody to take with her. And
Yeah.
in her mind, Peggy's just not mom, so it's not enough.
Right.
Because that's the first thought there is like, well, why would she be upset she could take Peggy? I know it's not her mom, but, she could take Peggy. Because it's not like Luanne's like a 5-year-old.
Right.
She's like a 20-year-old, I assume.
At least
in her 20s.
Yeah.
So
She'd have to
you
be.
figured that
Yeah.
she, at this point, had already reconciled a lot of the
Well, and we
issues.
we know that her mother's in jail for stabbing her father with a fork.
Yeah, I think they make her too childlike sometimes in some episodes.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the ones where I feel like it is a lot of emotional trauma stuff, but when I see her as a 20-something-year-old that was living with her mom, well, you can't live with your mom now, you're in your 20s because your mom stabbed. So she might be younger. She might be like 18, 19.
She
maybe.
could be, I
don't know.
guess, but it's
She wasn't in high school. She's not in school, and she's not working, and she's not in college.
But kind of think about when that happened to Luanne. Maybe it just like stopped her growth at that point. When that happened with her mom and dad.
That's possible too.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's a thing.
That could be it. Yeah.
So Peggy offers to substitute for her mother because she is a substitute teacher, and she's happy to substitute for her while she's in prison.
Yeah.
She says, "Thanks, Aunt Peggy. I don't think Mama would want anybody to take her place. Well, unless." Her place in prison,
And
but
she kind of looks like, but it's funny because she kind of looks like she looks over at Peggy like, you got me. Like
they both like
you gonna go
side-eye.
sit in there for my mom. Yeah.
So we transition. Obviously, Peggy doesn't go to prison for her mother. I don't think there is an exchange policy like that anywhere.
What if there was?
Yeah, that would suck.
That would be
that would
a
be
twisted
bad
system.
because
There'd be a lot of dads and moms in jail.
Yeah.
Sadly, yeah.
A lot of guys going and sitting for mob bosses.
Yeah.
So we're back at the Hill House, and we're in the garage. Hank is admonishing Bobby by saying, "We did good, son. It's beautiful." And he's talking about his new workbench.
Yeah, which I like. This scene I like right here because it's one of those more endearing, heartfelt scenes where there is no competition that Bobby's failing at. There is no like Hank's not trying to make up for something he's done wrong to upset Bobby. It's just dad, son. Let's get this workbench done.
So in comes Peggy with the dog bowl, and she starts scooping out some kibble from the bag of Dr. Dog kibble, and I believe that is the same brand that they went to feed Buck's hounds with.
I believe so. I'm not really sure.
Dr. Dog. And Bobby says to his mom, "We did it. We finished making Dad's new workbench. Look, no splinters," which that's his biggest accomplishment is he didn't get any splinters. Hank says to him, "Well, what should we build first, son?" He says, "How about a go-kart?" He says, "Okay, first we'll work out the design flaws of your go-kart by building a TV cabinet." So even though Bobby wants to build a certain thing, he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." In comes Luanne. She is the happiest that Luanne gets when she does her high-pitched screaming and running into the room, and she exclaims that Mama got out of prison.
Yep, so Mama's out early, so she didn't have to do her whole sentence, I guess.
Peggy drops the dog food from shock on the floor, and of course Hank goes off frame, comes back real quick with his shop vac and picks all that up, gets the kibble off the floor, which I think is a great gag because it happens again here in a minute.
Yeah, it does.
Peggy, she says, "Oh, I just knew it. I told him medium security would not be enough to hold that woman."
Yeah. So there's a bit of trivia here I wanted to make sure I got in. So you see Hank use his shop vac here twice within, the first minute of the show here. So he sucks it up after he spilled the dog food, and then he sucked up the beer that Dale spit out. And then both of those were result of people finding out that Leanne wasn't in jail.
Oh, yeah, I guess
That was the trivia. They were related for that.
So she exclaims how she can't wait to tell her daddy we're going to be a family again. She says that she didn't escape. She was released. She's coming to visit on Saturday. Hank's like, oh, God, she's coming here. And Luanne runs off in joy. And Peggy says, I will tongue kiss Bill before I let that tramp in my house.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Bobby is a little confused.
Bobby looks really confused.
He just
on
goes,
that for sure. He didn't like that. That wasn't
whoa.
something Bobby liked to hear. Yeah,
he goes,
yeah.
whoa. And Bobby
Whoa.
gets introduced to a couple of different concepts in this thing. One is he heard his mother say she will tongue kiss Bill before she lets that tramp in her house. Another one comes at the end.
You know, that kind of that's kind of one of those things, like one of those particular phrases that Peggy used right here that stirs up like the fan base of the Bill and Peggy.
The tongue kiss thing?
Yeah, well, like the Bill and Peggy relationship. That kind of language Peggy uses right there, that definitely stirs that up. It really does.
I cannot believe in that.
I don't buy into it.
I
don't buy into it, Mike, at all either. But
you conspiracy theorists. Okay, so we are back in the garage with all the guys, and Hank is showing off his brand new workbench. Everybody's admiring it. He's kind of polishing it up, shining it up. And he says, yeah, well, I was all set to start on a TV cabinet on Saturday, but it's going to have to wait a day because Luann's mama's coming to visit. And that's when we get Dale spitting his beer out.
Yeah, that's when he spits his beer out.
He says,
that's all within the first minute. I know it took us like 40 minutes to tell you that, but that's all within the first minute.
He says, that woman is a menace to society. Bill says, well, I don't know. I never met the lady, but she did her time. And then comes Boomhauer with, I tell you what, man, ain't no dang old lady getting all liquored up, coming on, throwing up, pawing me like a dang old animal, man. I told her don't. No means no.
Yeah, nobody on no means no.
No means no. So Hank follows it up with, yeah, Leanne is bad news. I tell you what, Peggy's brother was all set to marry a pretty pharmacist gal. And I often forget that it's Peggy's brother's wife. You know, that's Luann's mom. I just forget it sometimes. And he says he was all set to marry a pretty pharmacist gal. Until Leanne entertained at his bachelor party.
You know who a pretty pharmacist gal is? Dee Dee is a pharmacist.
Is she?
Or no, optometrist. She works in the pharmacy
at the medicine cabinet. Or the medicine
counter.
But
she was it was a pharmacy
the makeup
at
counter.
The makeup counter. I thought, I
was
corrected.
Showed her butt to Hank.
Yeah, I know, but I was corrected by Artie, and he said that she's an optometrist assistant. That's what she does is with eyes. So
Op assistant.
She's an I don't know what an optometrist assistant does.
She hands the glasses to people.
Yeah, here you go. Here's your glasses.
Here's your glasses. He explains how she married Leanne. And after 18 years of drunken hell, she stabs him with a fork. Dale says, he just says hum. Then Bill, who has been playing with the vise on the workbench this whole time, knocks off part of it. He screams in agony and says, oh, my foot, I think it's broken. He falls right on his foot. Hank says, oh, well, if it's broken, you're going to have to get that shoe off. Bill goes, he's down at the floor. Hank's like trying to help. He's getting his shoe off, and Bill's like, no, I feel better now. I'm just going to go home. He tries to get up. He falls back over.
Yeah, that's a weird scene, too.
It is weird because Hank says, don't be silly. Just let me in. And he pulls his shoe off, and Bill's sock is just soaked in like a pus-like yellowy,
really gross.
Whatever. It's super gross. What I wrote down on my notes is Bill's gross red toes gnarled up. So his toes are all crinkled up and they're all red at the ends, and he's got the freaking pus sock. It's just gross as hell. Dale says, Bill first is like, don't look at me. And Dale says, I never thought I'd say this, but I don't think I can finish my beer, which that's a huge thing for any of these guys to say. Bill says, it's some kind of athlete's foot. I've been using this spray for 10 years. Quick working my ass.
Yeah, quick working my ass. And, I really don't ever think that the sprays or anything work. But knock on wood, I'm lucky enough that in 32 years, I've never had the athlete's foot. And I can't claim that I'm athletic enough to have ever had anything related to athletes.
Well, it usually comes from wet feet. Right,
like sweaty feet.
Yeah, so a lot of people. Will
what
get
happens
in the showers,
then?
like when they in high school.
So
and
is
stuff.
it like like a STD for your
It's
feet.
a fungus. Yeah, it's a fungus that starts to grow on your feet. Your feet are wet. They're moist.
Yeah, but like you
Soldiers
said,
would get it.
So if you're walking around like you said, like a shower, like
Yeah.
So is it transmittable? Like could I infect your feet? Like
I think it is.
FTD.
Artie, we got a special assignment for you to find out about athlete's
FTDs.
foot. Yeah.
We need to know if there's such thing as foot transmitted
That's
disease.
a florist. That's a florist. Don't drag them into this. Hank wants to know what the doctor said. Bill says the only person I've ever showed my toes to was my ex-wife. She used them against me in the divorce, which I thought was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, that's really funny.
Hank says you don't have to be embarrassed about your toes. It's just a medical condition. And Bill says, well, sure, you say that, but I don't see you waving your narrow urethra around for everyone to see.
Yeah, we really don't want to see a narrow urethra waving around. I'm glad he left that where it was at.
We then transitioned to Luanne on her phone in her room, or on a phone in her room, and she says, Daddy, give her another chance. Okay. And then she hangs up. Peggy is kind of hanging out at the door because she really gives a crap as to what happens to Luanne. She's such a mother to her.
Yeah, she is.
Luanne says we're never
and you
going to
see that this whole episode. It's just
Yeah.
like a constant like battle of like her being concerned about Luanne and stuff.
Luanne says we're never going to be a family again, Aunt Peggy. He won't forgive Mama. And Peggy enters and sits on the bed with Luanne, and she says, honey, marriage is about trust. And she betrayed him.
Yeah,
it was like a knife in the heart when she stuck a fork in his back. It sounds like a country song. Luanne says that was the old mama. New mama quit drinking. She won't even eat with a fork.
She won't even eat with a fork. Yeah,
and she only quit
instantly
drinking
turned into a
'cause-
wild animal.
And she only quit drinking because she's in prison. I mean, it's not like it was her choice.
Well, and I'm really surprised that when later on in the episode she talks
Yeah.
about how many days she is sober. I'm really surprised because people get just as fucked up in jail as they do in the real world, and if not more. One of my friends, he did 13 months.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a friend anymore, but he did 13 months in prison one time, and he said while he was in there, man, he said like some of the higher quality drugs that he's ever done in his life was while he was
Made in the
incarcerated in
toilet.
prison in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Peggy says, oh, Luanne, I'm just so proud of everything you've accomplished since we took you in. You're in school. You've got a righteous Christian puppet show.
A righteous Christian puppet show.
And then she says, you're always
clean.
always so very clean.
Which is kind of like I said, this shows you, like, again, that's like a little hint of darkness in the episode. Like,
it is.
Your mama didn't take care of you every time you used to come over when you were a
That's
kid. You
right.
were dirty as hell kind of thing.
She says, I just do not want you to get distracted and lose your way, honey. And she says, oh, you don't have to worry about me, Aunt Peggy. That's my mama's job.
That's my mama's
And that's
job.
just so sad.
That
when
is
she
sad.
says that. It really
I don't
is.
know. I didn't really like that too much. I thought that was kind of shitty of Luanne.
Super sad.
Luanne doesn't have very many like shitty moments. She's like one of the more pure characters of the show. But that right there, I don't know. I feel like, you got to recognize at least what Peggy's done for you.
Oh, sure.
She's done so much for
Well,
her. She gave
I
her
think
whole life up,
Luann's she just wants a family so bad. Then we
But she has one.
Well,
That's
I know,
what I'm
but it's
saying.
not
Like,
her,
what's
it's
that?
not a
You
real
don't know
one.
what you got till it's gone. I paved paradise.
I get it. So we're outside the Hill House, and there is a banner that says, welcome out, Mama.
Yeah, welcome out. Yeah, welcome out.
There are yellow ribbons on everything.
Everywhere.
Outside, inside, everywhere. So it's that tie yellow ribbon on the old oak tree kind
Yeah,
of
there
thing,
you go,
right?
yeah.
Hank says...
That's an old one.
Yeah. He's at the dinner table with Bobby and Peggy, and he's basically giving them the rundown. He says, don't make any sudden moves. Don't look her in the eye. If I give you this signal, and he taps 2 fingers to his forehead.
Yeah.
He goes, run to Dale's house and stay there till I say it's safe. We then hear a truck horn, and it's a big 18-wheeler that's pulled up.
And and this is like, we don't know at this point at all what Luann's mom looks like.
No, that's right.
So again, like, if you're watching this for the first time, like when I watched it for the first time,
it fooled me again
I
this time.
thought that her mom was. It fooled me again.
Yeah.
I was like, that's her mom. I was like, oh no, it's not her mom.
Luanne comes running out. She's dressed up in this beautiful yellow dress, and she's so excited. She's here, Mama. And then we see it's a Tom Thumb diesel truck that's pulled up. Tom Thumb is a big grocery store. So
Oh, Tom Thumb is a grocery store. I
Yeah.
thought it was like an old children's book.
no, well, I mean it is, but
It is.
Tom Thumb is also a grocery store.
Wasn't he the one who put his thumb in figgy pudding?
I don't know.
No, I don't think that was Tom.
I
don't
think-
think that. It doesn't sound like something Tom would do.
I think that's a guy with a fetish. We see the big diesel pull up. We hear the horn. We hear the squealing of the air brakes.
Yeah.
Luanne comes running out, and we start panning across. And first, we see a very butch woman holding some bags. No sleeves on her shirt, just a real tight haircut. I mean, and then it pans over, and Lulu, my sweet baby girl. And now it's Luanne's mom, and she is more of a feminine looking,
absolutely.
blonde. She looks like she looks
looks like, to me she reminds me of the White Snake video. She looks like she was in a White
she
Snake
does
video
look like
with
she
the
could have
hair
been in
the
a
way
White
it
Snake
is.
video,
Yeah.
or serving drinks at a hole in the wall kind of thing.
Yeah, something like
country
that.
bar, that kind of thing. Anyway, she says, "Thanks for the lift, Alicia," or Alicia, and then you get Alicia that says, "All right then," like Sling Blade.
All right, then.
All right then.
All right, then.
And she drives off. Leanne says, "Oh, it's the Hill family." And Peggy responds with, "Leanne, how very nice to see you." And it is as cold as ice when Peggy talks to her.
Oh, really cold.
Super cold. So they all go into the living room. Leanne says, "Oh, you have such a lovely home. Of course, if somebody turned on a fire hose, it'd all be ruined."
Like, why would you even say that?
don't
Like,
know,
that's
but
like, I don't want people like that
it's
at my
kinda-
house. Like, I would have asked her right then, like, yeah, you can go ahead and just leave.
There's just such small little jokes in this thing that are fantastic. Peggy's like, right? And then Hank and Peggy look at each other. Peggy the entire time is standing there with just her arms crossed. Boy, she doesn't want her guard is up. The entire time.
The entire time, yeah.
Hank says, "Yeah," and he kind of nervously laughs. He says, "So do you have a job?" Leanne says, "No," and Lulu said the trailer's wrecked, so I guess I'm currently unresidented. And then there is a very uncomfortable, awkward silence.
Very uncomfortable.
Everybody's just kind of looking around the room.
Yeah.
And then, of course, dumb little Bobby says, "Why don't you stay here?" And Hank immediately says, "Bobby," taps his head with those two fingers, and Bobby gets up and runs off.
Yeah.
It's just like red alert, done.
Red alert.
And Hank says, "Wouldn't you be more comfortable in some kind of halfway house or institution?" And then Luanne responds,
Which is where she should technically probably be just after getting out of jail. That's probably what would be the best for
Luanne
her.
responds with, "Please, I'll clean up after her," like she's a freaking puppy
Like she's a
or
dog
something.
or something, yeah.
Leanne says, "That's okay, Lulu. I'm so sorry for all the grief I caused you when I was drinking." And she's talking to everybody. She says, "I am walking with the Lord now, and I've found his forgiveness. I just hope I will find yours someday." And Hank says, "Well, we'll let you know."
Isn't it funny that's where everybody finds Jesus' jail?
Well, and it's funny to me that she never brings that up again. It's
Never again.
It's never a thing.
Never again.
So they're both crying now. Luanne and Leanne, "Mama, I love you so much. I love you too, baby doll." They're just crying and crying.
Yeah.
Luanne says, "We'll get an apartment. I'll quit school. I'll get a job." And she says, "Oh, baby, you mean it?" And Hank's like, "Okay, then." He's just ready to get him the hell out of his
He's ready
house.
to get him out of there.
And of course, Peggy, the guilt kicks in, and she says, Whoa, you will not quit school, Leanne. You can stay here until you find a job to support yourself." And Leanne responds with, "Oh, bless you, Peg." Peg, she calls her, which has to get on Peggy's nerves.
It probably does get on her nerves.
She says, "Oh, bless you, Peg. I won't even stay in the house. I'll sleep in the garage." And Hank's like, "What? No, my workbench." He's so afraid she's going to do something to his workbench. He says, "You can't stay out there." And Luanne responds with, "I'll fix it up real nice for you, Mama." And then thank you. They just go off, and they're in hog heaven now because she's going to get to stay in the garage.
Yeah.
Hank is pretty pissed, gives Peggy a real bad look, and she says, "Well, what choice did we have?"
Didn't have much of a choice at all, yeah.
And we don't have much of a choice. We're going to take a quick commercial break right here and hear from some of our sponsors, like Tom Thumb Grocery.
Hey everybody, it's Rusty with the King of the Hill podcast, Bwaaa. So we are currently trying to win Podcast of the Year, and we're hoping that you guys could help us out by nominating us on Waco Awards website. If you Google Waco Awards Podcast of the Year, the hyperlink will pop up for you to click on Google's search. Also, on social media, I've posted about it quite a bit, so you guys can go to all of our social media platforms at Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and I have the link posted there on a few different posts, and help us, at least get nominated. If we can't win, it would be great to at least have a nomination in our first year of podcasting, and we hope that you guys have enjoyed the content and continue to enjoy the content for the rest of the year.
All right, we are back, and we are at the Arlen Public Health Clinic.
Yep, the health clinic.
We overhear on the PA there, Dr. Escome. Dr. Escome, please come to X-ray. We're panning around the room. One of the posters that I caught an eye of was "Say No to Drugs."
There's a lot of that in that area. The late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Bill is just sitting there by a guy who looks a lot like Tommy Chong, reading New Mom magazine, just kind of thumbing through it. And the nurse says, "Norman Schwarzkopf."
I actually looked that up for you.
You looked up Schwarzkopf?
I actually looked up
Yeah.
the name Norman Schwarzkopf. I know my fact checker didn't, because he didn't give me this in the fact check list. So Herbert Norman Schwarzkopf Jr. was a United States Army general.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up actually in United States and in Iran, so he's a worldly man. I guess he's probably a military brat.
He was Bush's general.
He was. He was the commander of the United States Central Command. He led all the coalition forces in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the military from 1956 to 1991. But he was the general. I guess he was the number one general for.
He was Bush's
Gulf
guy,
War, right?
Yeah, he was Bush's guy in the Gulf War. I remember having Gulf War trading cards.
Hey, you know what? Not Gulf War trading cards, but I had playing card deck that had
Gulf War cards.
No, what they were the cards that were given to military so they could identify Iraqi units.
Oh,
so
I
they're like
remember
they're like
those.
ID cards, so you could play like a game of cards, but on the back of it would have like an Iraqi.
I completely
tank
remember those.
Well, it was all Soviet stuff because it was a lot of old Soviet equipment they had, but it would have all the equipment on the back of the actual deck of cards.
So the nurse calls up Norman Schwarzkopf. And
Norman Schwarzkopf, which would have been his general. That would have been his general.
That's true.
Underneath his. Well, actually, no, he wouldn't have been at this time.
So Bill.
Not at this time.
Oh yeah, I guess not.
It would have been his general while he was first in the military. I'm sure when he first enlisted or whatever. Yeah.
So Bill says, "Yup," because he's going under that pen name or moniker.
Yeah.
And the nurse says, "Okay, Norman, you have a common toe fungus.
I just don't understand why someone's so ashamed of a health issue. Like you're at the clinic for this, man."
She says, "Just take one of these pills every day and you'll be good as new." He goes, "I've been living with this nightmare for 10 years and all I got to do is take these pills."
That's it.
She says, "Yeah, that's right. All you got to do is take them on a full stomach." He's like, "Yeah, can do," patting his belly.
Can do.
And she says,
I like when he gets excited. He does that. I can. It's Stephen Root. You hear gets all excited.
And she says, "And absolutely no alcohol." That gets him. Yeah.
That got him.
He doesn't know what to do.
You see it in his face. Yeah.
His face
it's
changes.
tough. It's tough for alcoholic not to drink.
So we go back and we see Leanne out in the back, the Hill's backyard. Hank's inside the kitchen looking through the big glass door watching her. And she is lifting buckets of sand with a shovel, and she's doing curls with it.
Yeah, she's
like prison curls.
That's what I'm saying. That's one tough gal. That's not somebody I'd want to catch in an alley drunk for sure.
No. And we find out later.
You know how heavy a 5-gallon bucket of sand is?
Oh my God.
2 of them in curling.
2 of them
that's
on
heavy.
a shovel.
That's heavy.
Peggy says, "How long else is she going to stay? Or how long is she going to stay here? I'm sick and tired of scrambling around to find nutritious meals that do not require a fork."
I don't understand that.
Well, she doesn't eat with a fork.
Oh, she does it.
That's right.
Gosh.
She doesn't use a
I was
fork.
like, I didn't get that joke until now. I was like, why in the hell has she got a pile of Jello? And it's because she's eating nothing with a fork.
She dumps out that Texas-shaped
pan,
Jello, green Jello
That's
with
funny.
little stuff floating in it.
Did you ever? Okay, well, I was gonna say, did you ever
Yeah.
get stuck eating like Jello and hot dogs when you were a kid or anything like the weird 50s? I know
Well,
you weren't. I know you're not from the 50s. I'm not trying to date you that far
Just
back.
in my 50s.
But
Yeah, we did a lot of Jello and hot dogs and stuff.
like
sure.
weird like gelatin dishes.
Now, not the hot dogs in the Jello.
Okay,
No.
that's what I was asking. Because
No.
there's like some cookbooks from
Oh yeah.
post-war
Yeah.
cookbooks, like right after
Weird
the war,
stuff.
that you could tell that
Yeah.
there was a little bit of struggle
Put
bus
your
going.
fish fillets in Jello. Or
Yeah,
something. It's just weird.
Well, I mean, that's
stuff.
when you
Yeah.
got a lot of processed food that started to be invented and come out around that time too.
That's when Velveeta started hitting it big. I think that's
Gordon's
when
fish sticks.
Well, Velveeta. I just watched a video on Velveeta the
Oh,
other
yeah.
night.
Man, you know, Mike, I really just want you, like, if you're watching something, just like send me the link.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
If you're watching it, be like, all right, Rusty's gonna like this. I'm gonna send this to him.
It was all about Velveeta and
That's
where it
awesome.
was invented. It was invented in Germany. Like
Oh,
this
wow.
guy was a master cheesemaker.
So is it Velveeta or Welveeta?
No, it's Velveeta,
Velveeta, okay.
and it's a made up name because it was velvety smooth.
Oh wow.
So originally, okay, this is a history lesson you guys didn't enlist for, but I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, they're here.
So originally there were cheese trucks that
All
delivered
right.
the cheese around,
Sweaty
right?
cheese trucks.
And by the time they got back to the factory, the cheese factory, there were a lot of bits and pieces left because they would crack and crumble, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wheels, they would deliver them in wheels.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to buy the cracks and crumbles. So this guy came up, and I don't remember his name, Artie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing for you. This guy invented a process by which he would take all the pieces that were left over and then make it velvety smooth and make a log out of it, and they would sell it as Velveeta. He made it up because it's velvety smooth.
I'm sure that it's probably strayed so far away from the original
So
product.
in, I want to say late.
Because didn't they get like
50s, maybe
sued or
early
something?
40s?
Didn't they get like fined by the FDA or somebody or something?
No, Kraft came in and bought it, and then they changed the entire recipe.
Yeah. See, well, what I thought, what
It
I
used
thought,
to just be made of cheese.
it was
was
some
just cheese.
company. I can't remember what it was, but they
Yeah.
were serving their product as a dairy product, but there wasn't enough dairy in it to even
Yeah.
call it a dairy
Yeah.
product.
No, this
so they
is-
had to take that off the label
And
to
that
sell
may
it.
have been a thing because they now sell it as processed cheese food.
That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I think that's what it is. So it's after Kraft bought it, changed the recipe into whatever it is, and they
Well,
were
it's
still
like
trying to
your-
sell it as the same product. They're still trying to sell it as the original Velveeta.
It's
but
like
you can't
your
sell it like
cheese
that.
slices.
Yeah.
You know, they're processed cheese food unless you buy the 100%.
I have to.
milk
I
ones or
can't.
whatever.
I can't eat American pasteurized
love
cheese. I can't eat it.
Love it.
The only way I like it is if it is melted. I
Really?
I can't like when
That's a
people
big
just
difference,
throw it
yeah.
on a
It
plain
makes a big
sandwich and
difference,
eat it on like a sandwich because
Yeah.
real cheese to me doesn't like stick to the roof of my mouth. Like the teeth, like the cheese sticks to
you-
your teeth and your mouth.
Do you ever see the white cheese slices?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the did you know that's the exact same cheese without coloring?
No, I didn't know that.
It is. It's the
Oh well, that's
exact same cheese.
well. They have that at
yeah.
Subway.
So
Subway's American cheese is white.
tell me why the white cheese slices don't come individually wrapped, but the orange ones do.
Oh, I don't know.
Isn't that weird?
Well, maybe it's the consistency of the cheeses are different because the white cheese doesn't feel as gummy as
It's
the yellow
same
cheese.
thing.
Well, I
It's
think the
exact
coloring
same
must
thing.
change the consistency. Maybe
so.
You know, it's funny as you talk about cheese documentaries.
So weird,
I
right?
watched a cheese documentary about the underground cheese storage caves.
I've seen that.
Have you seen that?
I've seen
where they
that,
talk
yeah.
about the caverns where they store
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
government cheese, and like
Yeah.
it literally controls the market, like the prices of our
Yeah.
milk and stuff. Where people are like,
Absolutely.
it's gas driven.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but a lot of it has to do with this like gigantic storage facility with millions of pounds of cheese.
Well, that's like the Waffle House controlling what the government does with storms.
yeah, that's true. The
If a-
Waffle House,
If
like
a Waffle House closes, you're in trouble.
there's actually a collegiate level paper written, and it's like the Waffle House like indicator or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
There's
it's
like
like
a
the storm
legit
indicator, yeah.
scale that they go by.
The government, they have a piece of it. They're like, well, is the Waffle House still open?
If
Then
they're
I
still
guess it's
open,
okay.
Yeah, because they're open,
24 hours powers through everything. Yeah. All right. So she is out in the backyard doing that. We've dumped the green Jell-O in the shape of Texas. And she comes in through the back door or through the glass door, and Hank says, "Hey, Leanne, how's that job search going?" She says, "Not so good. My best reference just went in for chemical castration," which that's a rough reference right there. Luanne comes in and she says, "Mama, I want you to meet my Buckley." And then she whispers in Buckley's ears, "Go on, just like we practiced." And Buckley says, "Hey." That's what they practiced is him going, "Hey."
As he's voiced by a guy named David Herman, by the way. Yeah, that's the guy who does Buckley's voice.
So Leanne, she just giggles like a schoolgirl and says, "Oh, he's gorgeous. Oh, feel these muscles." And she's just feeling all over Buckley, and he goes, "I gotta go." And he just runs out with his helmet and he takes off. Luanne shouts at him out the door and says, "Thanks for the ride." And then she says, "Look, twin dresses. I got them for us to wear on our very first mother-daughter makeover night at the Beauty Academy."
But she's just super happy about it. You know, I really hate when you see somebody just so ecstatic like that about something, and then like to see all the life drain out of their face when whoever doesn't show up. Or
Leanne says, "I'll meet you there after classes tonight. I'm going to go shower and shave right now." Hank, of course, says, "Close the door this time." So
yeah, close the door. That's his gripe, yeah.
So now we're back in the alley. We're getting a yep from Hank, Dale, and Boomhauer. And then we get yep. Bill comes in shorts and sandals.
Oh, and he's like high-stepping and
sacking,
kicking.
And he's got his grape soda with a straw in it.
He's making Hank uncomfortable.
He said, "What a great day, huh? What a great day to be alive. Hey, who wants to play some hacky sack?" "I do. I'll start. You're a hack." And then he's just laughing and giggling. He's knocking around the hacky sack. He's, "Oh, did you see that? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I got it." And Hank is like, "Bill, we're all really happy that your toe fungus died, but we don't want to look at your feet every 5 minutes." And Bill just gets all sad looking. I love when Bill's sad.
I don't like when Bill's sad.
I just think it's funny, though.
I think it is. It is funny, the looks on his face. But, man, like, how can you be friends with people that just shit on you
Well,
constantly?
That's true, too, I guess, yeah.
I guess they've been friends for a long time.
So next
are you really friends if you're not making fun of each other?
Well, that's true too. Yeah. So next thing we see is Leanne. She is out in the garage and she's putting on some makeup in one of those oval makeup mirrors, right? And in the reflection, she sees Bill come in, and he's carrying a sack, a big grocery sack. And he's I'm sorry. And she says, "Well, hi." He says, "You must be Luanne's mama, huh?" She says, "That's funny. Most people think of me and Lulu as sisters."
Yeah, she didn't like that. It kind of bothered her.
You don't have to say that.
No, you don't have to say that.
That's something somebody else says to you.
That again shows the weird vanity that her mom has.
He comes over, and you kind of see that the bag is full of beer. And she says to Bill, "Would you do me?" And he's like, "Oh," and she turns around and she wants him to zip her up, in her pretty dress. And she says, "Well, don't be shy. I'm running late." He zips her up, and she sees in the sack. She goes, "Ooh, beer. You know how long it's been since I had a drink? 391 days. I've been sober the whole time." Bill says, "Well, help yourself. I was just going to surprise Hank and leave it in his fridge."
It's funny that I just said, I just talked about their friendship, but the dude's literally walking by the house with a big-ass bag full of all the beer he had that he can't
just
drink.
Going to give it to Hank.
And look how much beer he had on stock.
Oh, yeah.
I'm impressed
it's a whole
at,
bag full,
how much beer he had that he hadn't drank.
Well, and
I'm impressed with that. That's a lot of damn beer.
We don't see Hank's beer fridge in the garage very often either.
No, but when you do see it, that sucker's packed.
Yeah.
Especially the one episode where they have to go to Mexico to get Alamo because Alamo was discontinued because it made him sick.
Sure.
They go down there, and whenever you see his fridge and he's sitting there pouring all the beer out, his fridge was packed with beer, which is reminiscent of most garages I've been in with fridges in beer. It's usually full.
He says, "I'm not allowed to have any alcohol. Doctor's orders." She says, "Me either. Court orders." She goes, "I can't be around any of my old friends because all they do is drink." He says, "Mine too." She says, "I guess me and you are just going to have to make new friends, huh?" And she gets real close to Bill.
Real close to Bill.
Yeah. Now we're back.
And you can never really tell with
No.
With how she's gonna go with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's iffy.
I don't know why
wishy-washy,
she's
iffy.
sidling up to Bill, but
Yeah,
whatever. I guess he's a warm body. We're back at the beauty school, and we get a girl ripping the leg wax off, and we hear from the teacher, who you said was who?
The teacher is Jennifer Coolidge. If you guys don't know who Jennifer Coolidge is, she is the Bend and Snap lady from Legally Blonde.
Yep.
She is Ben Stifler's mom.
Yep.
And those are her two huge, most famous roles. Until recently, she's in a TV show.
Yeah, she was in White Lotus or something.
She's in some newer TV show, yeah. And I think there's a new TV show that's not even came out yet that she's about to be the lead in.
I will never forget her as being the dog owner in Best in Show.
That's one I don't know.
Oh, my
that's
God.
one I don't know.
Yeah, she's fantastic in that. So she says, Miss Platter, where's this mother you've been going on and on about? She says she's on her way because we see Luanne. She's the only one there with an empty chair, and she's just kind of brushing the chair.
Yeah.
And the teacher, who is a real ass, she's just like, yeah, sure. And she just walks off. Then we go back to Bill's garage where the two of them are really getting close.
Hank's garage.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be Hank's garage.
Yeah, they're in Hank's garage right now. Which is
so they're sitting
weird.
on boxes, like packing boxes, in the garage, and they're both drinking the grape soda. Bill is like, he's just kind of laughing, and she goes, so you like being in the Army? He says, oh, yeah, I love it, love it. They tell us when to get up, what to wear, what to eat. They take all the guesswork out of living.
Take all the guesswork out of living. I thought that was good. I like that one.
She says, well, that's kind of like prison. And the best part was food. 3 meals a day. Like, 3 meals a day.
And I love this part. He goes, well, yeah, us too. And she goes, did y'all have those meal trays? He goes, yeah, 5 compartments. She goes, yeah, well, we only had 4. And he goes, well, that's probably because you're in there to be punished. So they have all these similarities. They're comparing prison to jail, and then the only difference is there's one less little spot
one less
for
compartment.
food.
Yeah, one less compartment in the
for
jail
slop.
rather than the Army.
For jail slop.
Then we see Bill's toes just like shining in the moonlight, and she says, "Oh, is that Clare nail polish? I love a man who takes care of his feet." And they just laugh, and he says, "Well, you only get 2." She said, well, did you? He says, well.
It's a real corny like scene.
It is very
I like
corny.
it.
She says, well, did you know there's a spot on your foot that's connected to every part of your whole body? She starts touching his legs and stuff. She says, you want me to show you? He says, you want to touch my feet? And he starts moaning. She says, how else can I show you, silly? And she starts rubbing his feet, and Bill's just moaning. This is a very uncomfortable part of Bill.
Yeah, I just don't like this one.
He says, oh, I don't know. Me having my feet rubbed all night by a pretty girl and feeling okay. So, yeah, that's a little creepy. We then transition to the Hill house. We're in the kitchen. It is morning. Bobby is trying to cut sausages with a spoon, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We get Hank, morning. We get Peggy, morning. We get Bobby, morning. And then here comes Leanne in a robe that is not all the way closed, closing it. And she says morning. Then in comes Bill. He says morning. And then both of them kind of get real close to each other, and they're like, morning, morning. And it gets really creepy. Bobby's just like, morning again.
Morning.
And
yeah.
Peggy and Hank are
Bobby's always unfazed.
Peggy and Hank are just like, oh, because they didn't realize that Bill had stayed over.
Well, I mean, imagine it. You already have.
Why are they at their house, though?
Well, that part I don't understand. But like the icing on all of it that would piss me off would be like, not only do you have your own home, but not only that part, but
it's literally across the street.
Literally across the street. But the fact that I have an unwanted guest who has brought another unwanted guest.
Yeah, exactly.
To have sex in my.
Well, he doesn't even really know they've had sex
on
yet.
My lawnmower, which is the scene later on where Hank's mowing.
Next thing, they are outside at the patio furniture where everybody goes to learn a lesson at the patio furniture. And Hank,
there's a lot of stories told there.
Hank is giving Bill the what for, and he says, Bill, there are some things you don't do in another man's garage. As of right now, Leanne is kicked out. And Bill says, hey, Hank, see, our relationship is just starting. It's too soon to ask her to move into my house. We'd be moving faster than the speed of love. Please. And He gives him the googly eyes, you know, they're like, please, mister, please. He says, all right, dang it. At this rate, my new workbench is never going to get used. And then Bill coughs it up and says, oh, it got used last night. He says, right after we took a little ride on your mower, and Bill started like dancing. And we just get, from Hank.
That's it.
So now we're in the bathroom at the Hills house, and Leanne is putting on mascara while Luanne is sitting on the toilet talking to her. She says, I got so scared when you didn't show up. I thought you started drinking again and got in an accident or a gunfight.
Or a gunfight,
gunfight. She says, oh, I'm so sorry, honey girl. I just lost track of time. Forgive me. Then you hear Hank from the back going, please close the door. Luanne says, oh, it's all right. We still have today. She's just giving her mom every chance.
Every chance she can, which I don't understand it. But
no.
You know.
But then Peggy tries to open the bathroom door. She goes, oh, sorry, excuse me. And but she doesn't close it all the way when she leaves. And so it's kind of cracked. And so she's hearing the conversation that's going on. And Leanne says, oh, me and Billy are going out to celebrate today. Calling Bill Billy just makes me creeped out. Luanne says, but I wanted you to see my puppet show. It's called The Manger Baby. She says, honey. And it's about the animals that lived in Jesus' manger. She says, honey. She says, there's a donkey. And honey. Bill is the first good thing to happen to me since I met your daddy. And after all I've been through, don't you want me to be happy? Just laying the guilt on Luanne.
Laying it on
sucks.
Thick.
Luanne says, of course I do. And she goes, well, I knew you'd understand. And then she pushes Luanne out of the bathroom, and she's just kissing and giggling and stuff.
Yeah.
So Peggy was outside listening to this thing the whole time. She says, I would love to see your show, Luanne, which Peggy, again, she's there at every turn for this girl.
She's there for everything she does. Yeah, no, she doesn't miss events. She doesn't do anything.
No, she doesn't. And then Luanne responds, great, you can save a seat for Mama in case she changes her mind. This girl is just so delusional about her mama.
Super delusional.
It's rough, man. It's rough to watch.
It is rough to watch. I don't know. I feel bad for Luanne in a lot of different ways.
Now we get one of the strangest things that's happened in King of the Hill this entire time. We get a montage while wrap it up by, it says Jimmy Ray Vaughan, and I'm assuming that's who sang it. The band, what is it called?
Yeah,
he was in a band that sang this, but they're singing "Wrap It Up." I've been watching you for days now, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I'll have the title of the song,
as this montage is taking place.
Fabulous Thunderbirds, Wrap It Up by the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
There you go. So they being Bill and Leanne are the part of this big montage. Yep. We see them go to the Megalomart prescription counter. Bill is getting his prescription while Leanne goes off. She grabs cartons of cigarettes, the Manitoba kind, just like Dale smokes.
And it's chunking them in there.
She is
by the carton.
She's getting in cosmetics. She's pulling up all this stuff.
She's getting sugar babied.
I have the receipts from this montage. The first one would be Megalomart Shoppers is what it says at the top. It says Save right underneath it. She's bought nail polish for $3.99. She's bought 3 cartons of cigarettes at $18 a piece for $54.
Oh, wow.
She's bought lipstick for $3.50, mascara for $3, eyeshadow for $3.75 for a subtotal of $68.24, tax of $5.46 for a total of $73.74. So that's the first one. Then we see them. They are going off to the mall where she's going to try on clothes. She tries on a ton of clothes. The
Fashion Factory.
Yeah, this department store is called the Fashion Factory, and it is right across the mall from Java Joe's. Because we see that in the door.
Yeah, Java Joe's.
Now, at the Fashion Factory, she buys a dress for $49.99. She buys a skirt for $21.99, a top for $19, another top for $36, a hat for $15.99, a bustier for $25, pants for $42.99, subtotal of $210.96, tax $64, total of $274.96. That's our second receipt. Then we see her with all the clothes. She's trying all that stuff on, and then she pulls Bill into the dressing room. We then see Hank out there using his lawnmower, his ride-on mower. He is walking it around with oven mitts on.
Yeah, he's not even touching his lawnmower, insinuating the fact that he thinks that they
does not want to touch that thing.
Fornicated and copulated all over his
fornicated and copulated
all over the mower there.
We then see them at Megalomart again. She is buying more stuff. Bill doesn't have the money to buy his prescription. And that is because at Megalomart Shoppers, where they can save, again, they've bought 2 beverage hats for $8.99 a piece, and then 4 sodas at $1.29 a piece for $5.16, subtotal of $23.14, tax of $1.85 for a total of $24.99. And then they both leave with their beer hats on and walk into the sunset. Now, the one thing I want to talk about that happens during this montage, we get Hank with the lawnmower. But we also get Luanne performing her Manger Babies with
tears rolling down her eyes.
Well, tears rolling down her eyes. Big picture of President Reagan on the wall, by the way. And then
at the church, big picture of Reagan,
Reagan.
God and country, right?
That's right. And then she's performing this puppet show, and it's the cat stabbing the donkey with a fork while she tells the story of her mom and her dad.
Tears are flowing down her eyes.
It's so good. All right, so we are back in the garage, and Leanne says, "Hey, Billy, let's go on down to Uglies and show off how in love we are." And Uglies, Bill is just relaxing on the riding lawnmower over in the corner, and he says, "Yeah, I'd like that, but I'm all tapped out till my next paycheck. We've even spent my Mad money," and for some reason he's happy about that. I don't know
is
why.
Mad money.
So it's like money that he's stuck away in his cookie jar or something in case he really needs something.
I was wondering what Mad money, like he gets mad and then puts money in a jar every time he gets mad.
She says, "Well, that's okay. Foot rubs are free," and he says, "You're spoiling me." She says, "You're worth it." Baby voices. They're both talking in these gross baby voices. She goes, "I know that I am. Now, this magic finger is going to, oh, God, what is that?" And she sees his feet because he couldn't afford his prescription because he spent all his money, and his fungus is back on his feet.
Yeah,
he says, fungus, that's just a little old fungus, don't worry about that.
But it's funny how he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just a little old foot fungus.
Just a little old foot
just
fungus.
Go ahead and keep rubbing on old
Billy's feet.
Billy's feet.
He says, he goes, "What are Lily's magic fingers going to do?"
Billy.
She goes, "Fungus? How do you get a
Lily's
fungus?"
kinda gross, too.
And you can see her turn, right? She lights a cigarette, and she's just like, "Fungus? How do you get a fungus?" He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. As soon as I get paid, I'm going to get my prescription refilled, and I'll clear it up just like that. Now, you're not going to let a little fungus come between us, are you?"
That's gross.
She just kind of
she didn't really like it at all.
Oh, God.
She didn't like it so much. She goes over and says, "Let me go grab the almond oil."
Well, she's going to get some almond oil to rub his feet with.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Oh, come and get it." He's on the mower.
Yeah, he's loving it. He's just sitting there laid back on the mower. So she goes over to the fridge and she goes and grabs the almond oil and notices it's empty. So she goes and she opens the fridge and looks down and grabs a beer.
There's a bunch of Alamo.
And there's a bunch of Alamo
And she
beer.
shotguns that sucker.
She knocks some nails off of the top of the fridge or something, a nail is what it looks
Punctures
like.
it, opens the top.
Man, she does it. Hey, not only does she
sucker.
shotgun that beer, she shotguns that beer with the best of 20-year-old frat boys.
Oh,
she
it's quick.
picks the nail up.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've never seen anybody use the bottom of the can. It's usually like the side of the bottom, but she pokes it straight on the bottom.
She used
and
gravity
rails
to her advantage right there, buddy.
And she's all like super squat. Like looks like she's trying to do the
down.
limbo and drink a beer at the same time. She's so low to the ground.
Squatting down so Bill can't see her behind the door of the refrigerator,
she's
right?
Not supposed to have a beer.
And then she drinks that beer, and her eyes get wide.
Oh,
and
it was weird. A weird sound, a weird everything right there. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, she looks super evil.
Beer.
So now we're back on Hank's patio at the patio furniture again.
Yep.
And he's got Bobby holding a board with a nail. He says, "Now, normally I'd use a clamp for this, but you'll do in a pinch," which is a wonderful compliment
Yeah,
for Bobby.
that is.
Bobby says, "If you want me to hold it tight, say L. If you want me to hold it real tight, say R. Or I'm sorry, say T. If you want me to hold it real tight, say RT. That'll be our system." And Hank's like, "Oh, God, I already regret this." That's the look on his face. He's like, "All right, T." He hammers the board, and the board flips up because, of course, Bobby's not holding it right. Hits Hank in the head. Hank screams, and he said, "Dang it, I need a workbench." And so he goes into the garage. He's looking for he is looking for his workbench. He sees all of Leanne's stuff just strewn all about the garage. The garage is a complete mess. He opens the refrigerator. He sees that all of his beer is gone.
All of it.
Every single can is still in the refrigerator with a hole in it, and it's all been drained.
From the bottom.
Yeah. And he says, Bobby, red alert. And he comes running out, man, like a freaking bomb just went off.
Yeah.
He says, Bobby, red alert, get over to Dale's and lock the doors. And Bobby runs off. He starts pointing to his head while he's saying it, like the two fingers to his head.
Yeah.
He comes running inside. He says, move, Peggy, it's Leanne. And then Peggy's standing there with Leanne. She goes, she's right here. He goes, oh, hey. And she says, Bill was just inviting us to a barbecue. He says, why? I mean, what's the occasion? Bill says, we're engaged.
Yikes.
And Leanne, she's like, it was supposed to be a surprise. And then she pinches him real hard, and then she burps with the loudest burp.
Loudest, probably stanky burp, too.
She
sounded
says,
stinky.
She says, I need a smoke. And she goes out of the frame, and he goes, this is the happiest day of my life, because Bill, much like Luanne, cannot see the forest for the trees. We are with Hank now as he is cleaning off his riding lawnmower. He's scrubbing that sucker hard.
Scrubbing it this time, yeah.
He's got gloves on, the whole thing. He says, Bill, how should I put this? Leanne's first husband is hiding out on an oil rig in the Gulf, and he swears he's not coming ashore until I fax him her death certificate. He says, now what makes you think you're going to do any better? He says, because she loves me.
She loves me.
He says, then why did she hit you? And you see that big ass bruise on his arm. I mean, it's a big sucker, right?
Yeah, good old goose egg.
He goes, that's just a new love game we made up yesterday. It's not one of my favorites, but she seems to like it.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites because I'm getting the hell beat out of you.
Hank says, this goes without saying, Bill, but just in case it doesn't, I'm saying that you cannot live in my garage. She says, no, or Bill says, nope. She's moving in with me today. My house is big enough for the two of us, maybe even more. And Hank's just like, oh, God.
Yeah, like.
Because he's thinking Bill's going to have kids.
They're both in their, mid-40s.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to do that to themselves?
It's a little rough, yeah. So next we are in the Hills kitchen, and Peggy is at the table, and she is reading the book Men Who Love Women You Hate. And in comes Luanne, and she says, hey, Aunt Peggy, look what I got. And she's got on, you think for a second that she has dyed her hair like this ugly,
looks like her mom's hair.
White.
It looks like her mom's hair. Yeah.
And she goes, what did you do? She goes, Mama's going to love it. And she's, I will not have you running around all glammed up like Phyllis Diller.
Well, you're not my mama.
Do you know Phyllis
my
Diller?
mama. No, I don't.
Phyllis Diller was a comedian in the, I guess you'd say,
I've
50s,
heard of her,
60s,
yeah.
70s, 80s. She had this really loud laugh. She smoked a cigarette on one of those extender things,
Yeah.
She had the craziest hair, and she would make fun of herself how ugly she was all the time. Though they were all
that was the comedy
self-deprecating jokes.
Self-deprecating
all
comedy.
Self-deprecating.
I'm gonna look her
Now,
up here on the computer. Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know her. Yeah, she's always got the crazy ass hair.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
Okay.
she, and that's why she made this reference here. But she had a husband that she called Fang, and she would always make jokes about Fang and her and making love. And
there we go. Artie's giving us a lot of hearts here. Artie,
Yeah.
I think Artie likes Phyllis Diller.
Phyllis Diller, man. So she says, I'm not going to have you running around all glammed up like Phyllis Diller. She says, you're not my mama. My mama's my mama. She says, Luanne, you're never going to see her for what she is. Well, I'm sorry, but I have got no time for the pain. Next time that woman breaks your heart, I'm not going to be waiting there to tell you I told you so.
Oh, wow. I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, she was, she's extremely iconic.
Oh, yeah. Man.
I didn't realize how iconic she was for women's
Phyllis Diller,
comedy.
Bob Hope. They were, at the same time. She was on a ton
Yeah, well,
of
it says
stuff.
here that she's been credited as Joan Rivers is credited as an influence,
absolutely.
Roseanne Barr, Ellen DeGeneres, like a bunch of others. But
Yeah.
I didn't even know her voice acting stuff. So she was like the queen in A Bug's Life. She played the grandma Neutron in Jimmy Neutron show. I used to watch the TV show, and then she plays Thelma Griffin, which is one of the I think it's like Peter's mom, maybe
Yeah.
or aunt or grandma or something. That's crazy. No, I didn't know she was that. I've never.
Oh, yeah, she
like I
was-
said, I've heard of her and I knew her face once I looked it up and saw it, but I didn't really. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch some videos.
She was a
I'm gonna have
big
to
deal.
YouTube it up.
Yeah, she was a huge deal. Yeah. She says, "You're not my mama. My mama's my mama." She says, "I'm not going to be there to tell you I told you so."
That's an asshole thing to say. That's one of those that's one of those things that again stirs the conversation that Peggy is one of the shittiest characters as
She is a
in
tough
King
lady.
of the Hill. Yeah,
She's a tough lady.
She's a tough one for sure.
She
That's
says,
something we're gonna have to discuss one day. Like do a tiered list of the
Peggy.
who the shittiest characters are.
She says, "Why won't you give my mama a chance? She just really needs us to believe in her." And here comes Bill and Hank in. And Bill says, "I believe in her, Luanne. I asked her to marry me." And Luanne, again, just not seeing the forest for trees. She said, "Oh, you're going to marry my mama? This is like a fairy tale. I'm going to call you Stepdaddy Bill." He says, "Oh," and she hugs him. She goes, "You see, Aunt Peggy, I'm not the only one who thinks mama can change." And then she goes out, and Bill goes, "Oh, they grew up so fast."
Yeah, that girl. Yeah, Bill's a weirdo, man.
So
Certified weirdo.
we are now in the alley with Hank, Dale, and Boomhauer, and they are just watching Bill's house and listening to what happens. They see,
it's a ruckus down there.
oh my God, they're hearing all the glass
Yeah.
breaking. They're hearing Leanne, "You stupid fat, you stupid ugly son of a, it's unbelievable every time I find." And while they're doing that, or while she's doing that, we see Bill sneaking out from behind the fence, and he's got sunglasses on, just like people who
Oh yeah,
walk
hold on.
into a door.
There was a line that she says that was kind of weird. I thought.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable every time I find somebody like you.
Yeah.
Like so, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's again. This is like it's kind of dark. It talks again to alcoholism and how they blame everything on everybody else except
That's
for
true.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Hank says to Bill, "What happened to your eye?" He goes, "Eye? Oh, eye, that. Yeah, it's an interesting story. You know what? I was walking, and I walked into a door."
Walk straight into a door.
And
The old
Dale-
walk into a door.
I
Yeah.
love Dale here. He's like, "Wait a minute. How is that interesting?" So then we are at the barbecue. Dale says he wants to know where the bride-to-be is because he's hungry. Bill says, "Oh, she'll be out just as soon as she has her
Pre-engagement party jitters.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
By the way, at this barbecue, we see Joseph playing what do you call it with the balls and the mallets out in the
Croquet.
croquet. You see him out playing croquet. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
I used to call it yard hammer ball.
Hard hammer ball.
Croquet.
Croquet.
Before I knew the name, it was yard hammer ball.
We see Joseph out there playing that, and then you see Redcorn and Nancy and all these other people out there, and Peggy's sitting on a bench or on a barbecue picnic table.
Mm-hmm.
Bill is over in the corner barbecuing. He has a half barrel grill, one of those where it's made out of a 5-gallon barrel.
Oh, did you see what the barrel was made out of, though?
I did not.
It was made out of an Agent Orange barrel. Thanks again to
Oh,
Artie.
wonderful.
Thanks again to our fact checker here. But yeah, it was an Agent Orange barrel, which for those of you who don't know what Agent Orange was, if you were in the Vietnam War, Agent Orange was a chemical that was used to destroy foliage
Yeah.
to make it easier for combat and be able to mobilize troops and stuff like that. They couldn't the Vietnam War was the least mobilized war because there was nowhere to put vehicles. There was no
Right.
tanks and things. So it was a lot of on the ground moving through jungles.
You know what the Agent Orange was for?
It was to clear out foliage.
It was to kill all the jungles, right?
It was to kill the jungle pretty much. That
It
way
was
they could
made by
see
Monsanto,
Monsanto.
who is now Bayer.
Well,
Bayer bought Monsanto,
and
a few
Bayer
years
also
back.
used to make Zyklon B gas.
Bayer also used to make stuff for the Nazis,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
the,
cool.
Yeah, the Zyklon B
they
gas.
did some good stuff. Yeah.
And then IBM also used to make stuff for the Nazis.
Yeah.
But that's a different podcast.
It's a different show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is over there barbecuing, and he's wearing his.
That's an idea. You know, we need to do that. That needs to be our next show. Is just me and you, like just random documentaries. And
documentaries
about cheese and Nazis.
Cheese and Nazis.
I'm
That's
gonna
what we'll
Google
call
that.
it.
I'm
We'll
gonna
just call
Google
it
cheese and Nazis. I bet you that's a documentary.
So Bill is over there barbecuing in his half barrel grill. He's got his Kiss the Cook apron on. Everybody wants to know where he's at. or where she's at, and out she comes. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the party. And she's obviously drunk. She got a beer in her hand. Bill is like, well, hey, here she is. She goes, woohoo, let's get it on. And Luann's like, oh,
she's
no.
hooping and hollering.
Oh,
she is
man.
like
she is
over the top, grossly drunk.
3-4 sheets to the wind. Luanne looks at Peggy and she says, oh no, what would she do? What should we do? Peggy's like, well, I'm going to go close up the mustard before it crusts, if you'll excuse me. And she is literally, she just leaves Luanne out in the cold, man. Hank says, okay, if she gets out of hand, I'll go high, you guys go low. He's talking to all the guys.
Yeah.
Dale says, I'm ready for pepper spray, 50% capsaicin.
Yeah,
so
50% capsaicin. He's going to
spray them all. Yeah. Luanne, trying to salvage it, says, Mama, maybe you should eat something. Leanne says, well, where's the damn food? Did fungus for brains already gobble it up? And Bill's just like, he's just like, yeah, gobble it up. She throws a beer bottle at Bill, barely misses him. She's burping real loud. She's turning up the radio. She goes, hey, boys, she's back. Give it up for Lily. And she gets up on top of the thing, on top of the picnic table. She is whooping and hollering it up like she is next on the main stage. She is there to have a good time. Bill says, woo, or Dale says, woo, poor Bill. And he says his woman's making a fool of him while he stands next to John Redcorn and Nancy.
That
he
joke,
says that.
Yeah, that was a great one. That was one of that's probably my favorite joke on the whole episode. Is probably that little interaction right there was funny.
John Redcorn just says, it happens.
It happens. Yeah, it happens.
Luann's still trying to save it, says, Mama, please. And she says, will you quit calling me that? I might be 34. Woo, look at this. And she turns around and she flashes her breasts at people. She says, hello, righty. Hello, lefty. Say hi, everybody. And of course.
I got a little bit of trivia right here for this part, too. Yeah. So, on the trivia sheet, it says that where's it at? Oh, so this is the first time. Okay, so Leanne is the first person who shows her titties, breasts, whatever you want to call them, to somebody. So that's the first character who shows their breasts. The next time that breasts are shown to on screen to another character is Peggy at the nude beach. And then the next one is Luanne. Yeah. Luanne naked in the bathhouse at the lake.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next one is Connie, would have been the 6th. Remember when Connie was like going to lift up her shirt and then Con walked in the room?
That's right.
So that's the 3 instances or six instances of
holy crap
of titties being shown off screen and on screen.
Yeah, well, she shows hers to everybody. And this pisses
and they're
Peggy.
aghast. They're all like, I imagine those suckers swing to and fro.
This pisses Peggy off, and she goes up to Hank and says, I want to go home. He says, thank God.
Thank God. He's just like, boom, he's out of there.
They grab Bobby, and Bobby's just like staring. So I'm assuming this is the first time he's seen any.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he is just staring and staring. Luanne is just sobbing and sobbing.
Do you remember the first time you saw a live pair of titties like in front of you? Like, not like your mom's on accident or anything like that, but like a pair of enjoyable breasts.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't have.
I remember. I remember. I was 11.
Have it bookmarked.
I was 11. I remember it vividly.
So Bobby is staring away at him. They take off, and then you see Buckley, who's got his Walkman on. He's just kind of leaning over there, and she jumps on to Buckley. Well, come on, stud, show me some love. And Buckley says, help. Get this skank off of me. That's the most I've heard Buckley talk, number one. But he says skank.
Get this skank off me.
And all of a sudden, Dale screams, fork! And then he dives. Here comes Leanne with a fork in her hand. She says, you pamply little. And then Luanne is screaming at the top of her lung. Mm-hmm. And she is about to stab Buckley with this fork. And you see a hand grab her hand, and it's Peggy. And she says, excuse me, ma'am, but that was my fork. I just thought, well, here's badass Peggy. Like when Peggy
I like it when
gets
Peggy
riled
gets crazy.
Up, this is badass.
Like the batting cage. This is batting cage.
Yeah.
Batting cage Peggy.
Dale, who is on the ground, says, "Poor Peggy, she's dead." And then we get this soliloquy from Peggy, who says, "Leanne, whether you like the title or not, you are this girl's mother. She has been waiting her whole life for just a shred of attention from you, but you don't know how to return even a fraction of the love that you get from your child or from your man. I hope someday you can live without alcohol, but until that day, we can all live very nicely without you." Woof.
Woof.
And they are fighting and rolling around. Peggy is on her. She's on Peggy. They're going back and
They're
forth.
tussling. Peggy's giving her wood for her. She's giving Peggy wood for her. Yeah, it's a...
Leanne, she stops and she says, "Peggy, thank you for that. I'm sorry. I've been acting pretty foolish, everyone. You can let go of my hand." And Peggy does, thinking that she really means it. And she goes after Peggy. She just, here comes her banshee scream, and she is coming after her. You see Hank just gasping, and then they are rolling around. Peggy is screaming, "Hank, get her off of me." Leanne's just shrieking. She's on top of her. And then Dale pepper sprays everybody but the two that he was supposed to. And then you hear Peggy just, "Hank, you better get her off of me." And then Leanne is on top of Peggy. She says, "I kicked your brother's ass and I'll kick yours too, sissy." And then Peggy, once again with her badassery, she says, "Well, there's one thing you didn't count on. My brother has got size 6 feet, but I don't." "Oh yeah."
And she like hooks her feet in her shoulders and gives her just like a tally-ho, kicks her to the moon.
Yeah. And then as she's over on all fours, Peggy literally
boots her,
kicks her in the butt.
Boots her. And I don't know what it would like to be kicked by Peggy, but
it can't be good. No,
but I cannot imagine a foot that size going up your ass would feel good.
Yeah. And so Dale, he responds with, "You kicked her ass," because she literally kicked her ass.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and Hank's like, "Go Peggy." And then Leanne, who is drunk as all get out, and she is just, she's humiliated at this point. She, "Come on, Luanne, let's get out of this dump." Luanne's like, And she's just crying. She goes, "Oh, you think you're better than me? Fine, then I ain't your sister no more." So she gets in a tan truck that we've never seen before, peels off. As she's limping off, she almost falls down, and she peels off in this tan truck. And everybody is standing in the road watching her peel off. Bill just kind of clears his throat, and he says, "Well, I guess we can start eating." And Hank says, "You can't just let her steal your truck, Bill. You got to call the police." This is the first time I realized that was Bill's truck that she took off in.
She took off in. Yeah, she's hauling ass too.
And then Bill says, "No, I think the best thing to do is just let her go. If she doesn't come back, it means we were never meant to be. And if she does come back, well, then I'll call the police."
Then I'll call the police.
And we get a fade to black with credits, and we hear over the credits, we hear Bobby say, "You kicked her ass, Mom." Peggy says, "Yes, I did." He goes, "But she's a better
dancer.
You do not know that."
Yeah, you do not know that. And then Luanne says, it cuts to a scene.
We go to, we get a few credits, and then we get a scene at the...
Which this is reminiscent of like season 1, where we got a lot of these endings, a lot of season 1. It was shorter seasons, so they had a lot of these episodes where you had these
We're back
filler.
at the Arlen Beauty Academy, and the notes I wrote here are, it's mother-daughter night again, which is weird, right?
Well, remember, they said the show, if we go by the canon,
it's 1 year.
They said, well, that's not, I don't think that's canon. 1 year is not canon.
Okay.
Canon to me is it's a year later, and they're revisiting
maybe
the same moment. Or unless they do them once a month.
I don't know what it is, man.
It could be something like that, though. It really could be. It could be something where the beauty, since it's a school that she's in and she's there for a while, maybe it's like a once-a-month thing. They have once a month you bring in your mom.
But she's doing Peggy's nails, and Luanne says, "What should I do about Mr. Dotree if he keeps introducing me as his daughter?"
Weirdo.
Peggy says, "Well, the
certified weirdo."
She says the parental bond is extremely strong, even if it's not real. Luanne says, the aunt-niece bond is even stronger. And she says, "I think so too." She says, "Twin sisters may have the strongest bond." Peggy says, especially if they're attached at the head.
This is that fan fiction shit right here. This is exactly where this dude got the glue idea for that. ridiculous-ass fan fiction.
She says, and then Luanne or Peggy says, and the next would be the aunt-niece bond. And Luanne says, oh, yeah, strongest is the aunt-niece attached at the head. And Peggy's like, well, I don't know how that would happen, but yes, that would be very, very strong.
You know, it would have been funny if we did this episode and then the Friday episode was the random deal, but that'll work.
That's so good. That was a great episode.
That was a great episode. I really liked that one. That was a good one. It was
deep. Had a lot of stuff in it.
And again, I know that there's a lot of light being made in this episode by me and Mike, as well as by Mike Judge and the creators of King of the Hill when it comes to domestic violence and alcoholism, which they are very serious things.
Yeah.
And if you are in a situation where you are being abused, seek out help, men and women both, because it's not gender specific.
No, definitely not.
Anybody could be in abusive relationships. So whether it's emotional, physical, or otherwise,
whoever you are, you're better than that.
I hope you can figure it out. And I hope that, us recognizing the severity of these kind of things gives you the extra push you might need to go get that help.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. On that note.
Well, that was a good, funny way to end it.
Yeah. Also, we're still in the running. We're still trying to get nominated for the Waco Awards.
Waco Awards,
so if
please.
you guys could go to the Waco Awards website, just Google Waco Awards, and it's the first thing on the search. And if you'll go to podcasts and vote us for Podcast of the Year, we would love to win. But a nomination would be just as good for our first year doing this King of the Hill podcast.
I'm gonna tell you something that you need is insider information to the Waco Awards, which is WacoAwards.com, by the way. If you put Bwaaa with an exclamation mark, it won't take it.
Oh,
you can't put an exclamation mark.
You cannot put an exclamation in it.
I just put in Bwaaa, the King of the Hill rewatch podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys.
You
Don't put an exclamation in it.
Otherwise, it's not taking it. But we appreciate anybody and everybody who has voted for us, and
how do we find out who's in? How do we find out?
It'll be a couple of weeks, and then they'll release what the actual ballot is.
So who actually got?
Yeah.
Do they? How many do they go with on the actual ballot? Then is it like 10 they go with?
If I'm going by history, I would say it's probably about 5 or 6.
Okay, guys.
That's
so we're just trying to be one of 6.
Yeah.
And
5, 6,
the area that we live in, there's really not 100,000 podcasts that could be nominated. I feel like
but there's a lot of stuff. What we end up with is a lot of church podcasts.
Oh, is that what happens?
Get nominated. Yeah,
okay.
A lot of church podcasts.
Yeah, you're in the Bible Belt.
That's it. So vote for us, not for religion. For the Waco Awards, WacoAwards.com.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Bwaaa.
it. And guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
and
we appreciate it.
We hope you enjoy the Friday episode coming up too. By the way, it is a good one.
Yeah, we have a guest
got a super
on our
special
Friday
guest.
episode,
Yep.
so you should enjoy that. Let's just say we bring a little summer to fall,
Yeah, there
if
you
you
go.
will.
Good job. All right, you want to tell them where to find us?
Yeah, you can find us at BWAAAKOTH on all social media platforms, and that's not all social media platforms. That's Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.
MySpace.
We're soon gonna put all of these audios up on a King of the Hill or Bwaaa King of the Hill YouTube. We're gonna get that sorted out kind of soon. Like give us some time, because at the time we've got 30 episodes we'd have to put up.
Yeah, it takes a little time to do
So it
those.
takes a little time, but we're gonna get that fleshed out.
Unless we have volunteers.
Unless we have volunteers.
If anybody wants to volunteer to do it, I'm happy to hand it over.
Yeah, we'll send you the files.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
We'll send you the file.
appreciate everybody again for supporting us and continuing to watch us. You could find us at roguemedianetwork.com.
roguemedianetwork.com. Yeah, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. I feel like it fleshed out the characters a little more.
Well, let's just say the next episode could be really addictive.
What's the next one?
The junkie episode, the junkie employee episode. The guy,
sweet.
The guy trying to fraud Hank for disability because he wants to smoke crack cocaine on
that sounds great.
On his off day.
That's well,
all
don't
right.
we all? Hey guys, it was a pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much for showing up, and we'll see you again next time.
Wimatanye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.